talk about the AFC North, because the AFC North is absolutely like wild right now. Insane. Like
Facts.
there's legitimate talks that it could be the first division in NFL history to have all four teams make the playoffs.
Shit.
It's possible. So last week, before the Bengals lost to Houston, they were literally all four teams were in. If the playoffs were to start that day, they would have all been in it. Now the Bengals are just on the outside looking in. That's 8th place to the 7th. But man, I mean that team. I mean that whole division is absolutely stacked. It like honestly, even historically looking back, like that AFC North is always the toughest, the grimiest, the most hard hitting, like old school football division in the NFL. Like every year, like when those, I mean, you see Ravens, Steelers, Browns, Bengals, the Bengals, Ravens the past couple of years, they're all just like brutal physical matches. And it's going to be an uphill battle. Like you said, Deshaun Watson out potentially. Is it out for the entire season?
I don't recall if it's for the entire season.
I mean, the thing with Deshaun, said the Cleveland's defense has been out of this world. Deshaun Watson can be pretty. There's moments where you look at Deshaun Watson this season and he just like, man, he looks horrible. But then there's
he had a big game last game. I'll give him that. Well, yeah, but early on,
he had a good first. He had a good first half. Well, he had a good first half last. The second half he was 14 for 14. The half before that, the first half he was like 3 for 15 or something. It's like there's moments where you see old Deshaun Watson, and then there's like moments where he just looks awful. So it's like, even if Deshaun Watson was there, obviously you do want him there at the end of the day. I don't know if it's just him taking time and he's slowly like getting more and more consistent, but he does need to get more consistent. But with the way things are, with his injury, like who knows? I mean, if he can come back. So now you're coming into the Bengals. The Bengals started off super slow, which they always do. They have the past couple of years, and now they're trying to build themselves out of it, which sucks because you drop the Browns week 1, then you drop the Ravens the week right after that. So now they're having to play catch up, and then you lose to Houston, which sucks, but they're still in it. And man, Joe Burrow is just, he's almost Brett Favre-esque. He's like, he will make those tight throws. And sometimes it's like, damn, what a throw. But then the next
he's a fighter. He's a fighter, man. He was injured early on. He didn't want to come out. And I could see he's going to have some longevity in the league. And he's still going to be impactful, put up numbers. Like, we see what he can do when he's in midseason form, like how you're mentioning.
To me,
sucks, I think, but they're always, well, the last few years, in contention.
I mean, to me, I think Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the league. That's just me. I think it's Mahomes and it's Burrow. Like when you just look at when you think of just sheer talent, like to me, like and like the everything, like to me, he's the second best quarterback. The past week, he did get a little like, I mean, against this Houston game, he did throw a lot of picks, and he can get a little unclean at times, but he's slowly getting better. I mean, and kind of getting into the groove because he didn't have a preseason. So the Bengals in general, so trying to come back. But look, I mean, they started off the season weak last season, came in almost, I think they tied the division, they made the playoffs. We're probably going to see this again. And then lastly, you have, well, not lastly, but you have Pittsburgh and then Baltimore, which Baltimore, people are saying they're the best team in the league. I don't really, and the AFC, I should say. I don't know. I feel like Baltimore is, how do I say, like, I don't think they're as good as people say they are. I think they're a beatable team. I think sometimes people want to think that they're not, but I think they're a beatable team. I don't know what you think of the Ravens. It was crazy game against the Browns, and they lost.
Just like the Cowboys, I think we get distracted by the big games that they have, right? Those blowout games. I know they blew out the Lions, but then they'll lose these unexpected games, and you really see them break down. You're like, what's going on, right? We're not accustomed to seeing this type Ravens team because when they win big. But that's going to matter going into the playoffs, right? And Lamar has one playoff win. And this is it. Like the Ravens, we're used to seeing them have a great regular season. But can they sustain going into the playoffs? Can they be the top dog going into the playoffs and get the favored matchups?
Yeah, it always comes back to the issue. I just feel like the reason why I'm never super high on the Ravens is they just like when you understand how to beat them, like you beat them. Force Lamar Jackson to throw, you're going to win most of the time. Lamar Jackson is going to make a mistake. You force him to throw. You stop the run game. You win. You beat the Ravens. To me, like they're not like some unbeatable team right now. And that's why I can see them potentially slipping out of first place. As for the Steelers are just, man, they're always like Kenny Pickett. He's been playing all right. He's a very conservative.
6-3 right now, right?
They are 6-3. Yeah. So yeah, 6-3. They're very Kenny Pickett. He's been playing solid. He's conservative. He's not going to sling it, but that defense, TJ Watt is just a monster. Just the way like that. They just know how to win in the trenches. And Mike Tomlin, obviously, probably one of the best coaches, is one of the best coaches in the league. And they just always are competitive. It's always like the Steelers. You look at the team, you're just like, eh.
People count them out every single year in some way, somehow. Like you said, they find the trenches. They win the close games. They need to win. They're not super flashy like how they used to be, but they get it done quietly. Like it's crazy. Like 6-3 right now. Like who would have thought Steelers would be 6-3?
And get this, guess who they play the rest of the season? They got a relatively easy schedule too. I mean, at least for them. You have the Browns next, like who we said is missing Deshaun Watson, so you could say that they're favorites going into there. Then you have the Bengals. That's going to be a tough match, important matchup. Then after that, you have the Cardinals, Patriots, Colts, and then you got the Bengals again.
2 easy wins. Colts 50-50. And then Bengals again. The Bengals, like you said, that's a coin toss. It's going to be
another tough match. Seahawks, then Ravens, and NC. So like those last 3 games are going to be pretty tough. But then you got like a semi-easy stretch. But these next, 5 games? So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's there's a legitimate chance they could literally all make the playoffs. Like, I mean, it's crazy with the way they play. But somebody's got to win. Who do you think's going to win? Now that we're at this point.
Well, I mean, if I'm being honest with you, I know you don't believe in them, but at this point, Baltimore, I think, depending on their schedule, like they have the best chance of winning the division. I just don't see. I don't see the Steelers coming out. Yeah, they're battle ready. They're battle tested. They grind
talent offensively.
It's just I don't see them coming out in first place for those big games. I don't think they're going to come in clutch for those big games. They might win the games they're supposed to win. Bengals 2 times, like you mentioned, those are coin tosses. Depending on Joe Burrow's health, Bengals O-line, Bengals defense, right? But the Ravens, the way they're looking right now, honestly, that team's on a mission. Like they demoralized the Lions, and the Lions are a fantastic team this year. So that was a statement game. And
they demoralized the Seahawks too.
That too. And so they're capable of having these big games.
They blew up the Browns early. It's
that's
weird.
What I'm saying.
That's why I'm so weird about it.
Like they lose the games they're not supposed to, and it's always it's weird. Like I don't know if it's their defense or obviously I don't watch every single Baltimore game, but goddamn, like they'll have these blowout games out of nowhere. Like these teams are gone. Like after the first half, like they're not coming back. Like it's a wrap. Like.
Yeah, I mean they've been pretty dynamic on offense, and then the defense is doing their job. I mean they're playing really well. It's just the thing with the Ravens. Like I don't know if it's one of those until like you said, like one playoff win in how many years now, and until you show me, it's kind of hard to believe it. But I just feel like I feel like there's a game plan to be had. Like I said, if you can stop the run, which I know is a tough ask, that's easier said than done. But like we've seen it, like I said, like you force Lamar to throw, you're most likely going to win next game. I mean, dude has a 58 QBR right now. I think they're like obviously. I mean, look at the Browns. They've shown that it's possible. So I mean, right now they have the Bengals, Chargers, Rams, Jags, Niners, Dolphins, Steelers. They got a pretty tough schedule. I'm with you though. I think they win the division. And I think the reason why they win the division is because the Bengals had a rough beginning. I think that beginning is gonna bite them in the ass, and they're not gonna be able to come back. I think they're gonna be a game shy, and the Ravens end up winning that division.
I just don't think the Bengals have what it takes to go on a extended streak. They might win the next 3, drop 1, maybe win 1, lose 1. That's kind of how
I'm not worried about that so much. I can see them going on a streak because they've done it before. It's more so like I don't see the Ravens dropping a ton of games for them to catch up because what is the record? What is the standings? It is.
How many games do they have on them?
Come on, where's it at? Okay, so we have Ravens 6-3, Bengals 5-4. So only one loss behind them.
Which, I mean, they're right there, to be honest. It's closer than that.
Obviously, Ravens, they should have a bye this week, I believe. So it could still be one game out. We'll see coming into the Sunday. But, yeah, I don't see... Man, I don't. This is the more I look at this. I mean, everybody's 7-3, 6-3, 6-3. See, the thing with the Deshaun Watson was playing that I would feel a little bit more confident about the Browns. Steelers, like you said, I just don't think they're playing well, but it comes to at the end of the day, there's just a certain amount of quality that they just don't have offensively to put games away or play with the Ravens. Like Pittsburgh can't go into a shootout with the Ravens. They just can't. The only team that can get into a shootout with the Ravens, one was apparently the Browns out of nowhere, and then but I don't expect.
That's why.
Yeah, he had one of his like streaky things in the second half. The Bengals are the only team that can do it. So, but like I said, I think Baltimore ends up winning it just for the simple fact that the Bengals just put themselves too much in a hole. Not that they're in a deep hole; it's still one game behind, but. You got to hope that Baltimore drops 2. It's possible, but I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely a wild division. It's been one of the best divisions pretty much in my lifetime. So